Servus guys and welcome to another Applied Energistics 2 tutorial. Today we are going to have a look at the P2P tunnels and we are going to have a look at different settings, and I'm not a big fan of P2P tunnels. I did this tutorial in German and now I'm re-talking it in English. And I'm not a big fan of P2P tunnels because you don't gain any channels. This is very important. You do not gain any channels from P2P tunnels directly. The only thing that P2P tunnels are for is to decrease your amount of cables that you're using, because you're using one cable to port multiple channels to different locations. That's all what you do with P2P tunnels. Still, if you want to have a very lean cable management, very smart cable management, P2P tunnel might be a version for you. So how does it work? A P2P tunnel has to be connected to the controller itself and only works with smart cables. So in this version we got the controller connected to the P2P tunnel connected to the controller, and we have some smart cable there. And I'm showing you the quartz fiber now because if you connect the smart cable to your P2P controller, it does not have energy. So you need some kind of energy, but you do not want to have some, let's say, interference with your dense cables with other channels. So use your quartz fiber to get some energy. Just put it in between the cables and you won't have any channels connected. So how does it work? P2P tunnel connected to your controller, smart cable attached. Then on the other side we connect the P2P tunnel to our smart cable, and from the P2P tunnel you might want to use a dense cable, because we are transferring 32 channels from the start of the controller to the end. And as well as I explained before, we need some energy for our cable and using the quartz fiber for this. So now nothing happens because we still need to connect them, and we need for this we need the memory card. And on the P2P tunnel that is sending, you have to shift and right click. Then it says successfully saved settings, and on the P2P tunnel which gets the information of the channels, you just right click with the same memory card, and it says successfully loaded settings. And as you can see, everything is turning up. This is a setting that has 32 channels, and as you can see, 32 channels are being connected with the P2P tunnel, and the P2P tunnel is using up 2 channels. But with this kind of setup, the 2 channels won't be reduced from the 32 channels you get from one side of the controller, because it's a system that stays within the system. So I hope you can follow me. So we are not connected. The smart cable is not connected to our system. Let's say it like this. So another setting, because the same would be if you're using a dense cable with 32 channels. So you do not gain any channels with P2P. That's very important. You do not gain any channels. So let's. It would be the same if we disconnect this here. So all the 32 channels are, starting up, and this is exactly the same that we are having here as the setup on my right side now. But now we got a different thing, because let's say, okay, we're using this cable to have another 32 channels over there connected to our system, but we're only using one dense cable. And this is how to decrease your amount of cables. So how does it work? We do have 32 channels there. We disconnected one, and later on we are disconnecting a second one because we do need 2 channels. We are connecting our P2P tunnel to the other controller side, so we're getting another 32 channels from the controller, and we are connecting it with our smart cable to our dense cable. And you can see there we got 32 channels because we're using up one P2P tunnel, because the P2P tunnel is now connected to our system. On the other side, on the right one, which we did before, the version we did before, it wasn't connected to the system, so we weren't using up any channels. So how does this look like on the other side? Let's build it from scratch on. We just got our dance cable there, 32 channels again there. And from this side of the controller, we want to have the 32 channels here now. So we are just going over to our smart cables and connect them with a P2P tunnel to the dance cable. And now we have to kill another channel because this one is using up another channel, as you can see. And we only had one left. Yeah, there were 31, and now you see our one machine or export bus got disconnected. And now we got 30 channels here, and we are using up 2 for this, the P2P tunnel. One here and one at the other end. So same thing, shift right click on this, the P2P tunnel that is sending, and right click on the one that is getting the data. And as you can see, everything is pumping up, and we have all the 32 channels online here. And well, we got 30 channels here. So with this P2P tunnel, we in this kind of config, we are losing 2 channels. But it is a smart way to have just one, let's say, big cable in your facility or in your base or whatever, and you are able to, well, have multiple production lines connected to one giant big cable. As you can imagine, well, you got a 32 dense cable with 32 channels, so you have you will be able to have 16 P2P tunnels within this cable. But you're losing 32 channels. But you got 16 P2P tunnels and could use up to 16 full dense cables. But to keep in mind, you don't get the channels because every P2P tunnel has to connect to a controller side, which offers you the P2P, the 32 channels. And it would be the same if you are using dense cable from every side of the controller. It is the same. So yeah, that's all about the P2P tunnels. There are multiple P2P tunnels, like you can transfer electricity, URF and MJ, and you can get some items through there and so on. But well, I just want to show you the basic of P2P tunneling and how the system works. And the most important thing, you do not gain channels. It's only about having a smaller, having one giant dense cable which connects other 16 dense cables within your base without having these 16 dense cables coming from your controller. That's all about the P2P tunnels. Yeah, I hope and keep the quartz fiber in mind. You have to get some energy onto the system, and that's very important to keep that in mind, that you don't want to connect them to your system, because in that way you will using up channels. And so this is all about. I don't know what I did in German here now. What I showed, but that's pretty much it, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and find it a bit useful. Check out my other tutorials, and thank you for watching, and see you next time. Servus, guys.